Hi, Sam. How are you today?
I'm good, Dr. Boros. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for asking. Do you want to step in my office, please?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Is there anything I can get for you before we get started?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Okay. I know we talked about the confidentiality. We're just going to talk about that again for a second. It still applies unless you are going to harm yourself, others, or any abuse or anything like that is going on. I would definitely need to report that just to remind you again. Do you have any questions about that?
No, I don't think so. It seems pretty straightforward.
Perfect. Okay. So today we are going to talk about a topic that's a little uncomfortable. I do this with all my clients, so don't feel like it's a little, much. And if you do, that's fine too. We can always pause. We can always move past something if you're uncomfortable. Just don't worry. Everything's a safe space here. It's going to be suicide. Is that something you would feel comfortable talking about today?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just basically this is called a risk assessment. So we're just going to kind of go through and just kind of talk about you and just kind of things like that. If you ever had any thoughts or anything like that. So that would be our session today. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. So how are you today? Let's start with that.
Uh, Good, I think. Tired, a little overwhelmed, but that's, I feel like, the normal in my life. So, I guess fine.
Okay. You said I guess fine, so maybe not so fine a little bit, just tired and stuff like that
Yeah.
this week. Okay. So if you had to rate your mood for me this week, what would it be?
Um, I guess it would vary. I mean, there was moments within my week where it was maybe like a 7, 8, 9,
Mhm.
or maybe like I don't know, 5 maybe might be the lowest in the last couple
Okay.
days. So it kind of varied. I went on a trip with my family this weekend, so it had a kind of like roller coaster of emotions. It was a fun trip, and that was definitely like a mood alterer. But then once I got home and got back in the daily grind again, I would say probably consistently about a 5.
Okay. So it sounds just like you said, it varied from good to bad this week. It kind of sounds like that to me. You're a little tired. You got to have a high moment of going on a trip, so that's great to hear. That's good. So stuff like that that gets you away from reality sometimes is definitely good to do for you. And that
Yeah.
helps your mood in general. So that's good.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. So getting back to our suicide topic, have you ever had any thoughts or anything like that, or a low point in your life where you were having any suicidal thoughts or anything like that, or just like one specific moment where in general it just felt like this just needs to end? I'm just done. Have you ever felt like that before?
I've had fleeting thoughts like that before.
Okay.
In my younger years, in my early 20s, there was a time where it was more of a realization than a fleeting thought. So,
Okay. So you would say maybe you've had thoughts of an attempt. Would that be accurate information?
I wouldn't even say thoughts of an attempt. I actually did go through with a suicide attempt. I
Oh,
was
okay.
probably 22, maybe.
Okay.
So I was in my early 20s,
Okay.
and I did go through with an attempt. So,
Oh, wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. That must have been an awful time for you. Okay.
yeah.
And I'm hoping years later you've moved past that and nothing now is triggering anything like that for
Um,
you.
I have, I guess, I guess they call them fleeting thoughts.
Mhm.
Every once in a while, I feel like that's fairly normal. I don't know if it is or
Okay.
isn't, but I feel like that's pretty normal when things get rough. People just think, oh, I just want to be done, or I wish something would happen. I wouldn't say that I would have as many thoughts of I want to end my life as much as I have thoughts of I wish something would happen to me to end my life. I don't think I have I don't want to call it courage necessarily because I don't feel like committing suicide is a courageous act by any means, but I
Mhm.
don't think I have the ability in me to attempt something like that again. I saw what
Okay.
family, and I do have a lot of things in life that I do enjoy. So I don't want to take that for granted. So
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you have things in your life that you enjoy and you don't see yourself doing that again. That's good. I'm imagining that was a really low point in your life and maybe it was just one of those you had a really bad day and it felt like the only solution in the moment, but then realizing later that it wasn't. You have support and you have things around you and people around you that can help you. So I do want you to know that if you ever feel like that, that's definitely leaning on your family or even me for support, anyone around you. There's suicide hotlines that you can use. There's a 988 number you can call. There's crisis centers. They're always available to help. So please don't ever feel like you're alone if you ever feel like that again.
okay. Yeah.
Okay?
It
Yeah.
was an impulse. It wasn't something that I planned or thought out. It was an act of impulse.
Okay.
So
Okay.
sometimes it could be concerning of, yeah, when I'm in sound mind of thinking like, oh yeah, I would never do that, but I wasn't planning on it in the first time either. So sometimes in the back of your mind you think of like, is that impulsivity gonna come out again? So it's nice to know that there's some kind of networks available for if I ever start feeling that low again.
Absolutely. There's always things around you that can help, especially nowadays. I mean, way back when, maybe not so much, but nowadays there's all kinds of resources available. So please, please reach out if you ever need to. I definitely want to touch on the in the moment thing. I know you talked about having thoughts before, just in the moment. And a lot of times that's all it is in the moment. And I just want you to know that's pretty normal for everyone to have thoughts in the moment. We all have our bad days where you're just like, I just am not looking forward to tomorrow. This was the worst day ever. But in the moment, that's how I'm feeling. But then an hour or two later, you're kind of mellowing to, okay, I think I can get through tomorrow. Just the one day at a time thing. In
Hmm.
that case, that helps too a lot. Okay, so I just want you to know that. All right. So what would have been your highest point in the week this week? Has anything been like, oh wow, this week? Have you had a really good day to where I just like feel so positive? Anything like that this week for you?
Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that. I had like a really like specific like sense of like calm and peace and like um just I don't know, like the weight of the world wasn't on my shoulders for once in a very long time. I went out to Oregon with my dad and my
Okay.
brother, and on a part of our sightseeing journey in the morning, we went to the Pacific Ocean, and we were out by the sand dunes, and the water was like extremely rough, and the waves are like super loud, and they were crashing. And I just remember standing there and just like took a deep breath and just like I felt like everything that I've been like holding in these past like months or years or whatever just kind of like disappeared, and it was just like a really like euphoric like moment where I just felt like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can breathe for once and like just like relax and like enjoy this moment and was at peace. So I would say that was probably like a 9-10 moment. I haven't felt that way in a really long time where I just felt like nothing mattered and I was just like at peace with life for a moment. So it was really like beautiful moment for a minute, and then we went to the football game and Ohio State lost, and then it was not so great anymore.
Aw,
But,
okay.
that specific moment most recently is probably the first time in a very long time I just felt happy, like pure happiness.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad you got to experience that. A lot of times, all we need is a vacation or a quick getaway from everything to just really feel that sense of peace. So I'm so glad you got to experience that. That's wonderful. And a lot
Mhm.
of times, you can't like describe it to anyone else. It's just your own feeling of, wow, everything is so perfect in this moment. And I just wish it could stay like this.
Yep.
But
Yep.
unfortunately, it can't, but it's good that you had that experience in that moment. I'm so happy for you to know that maybe a quick getaway, if you really need to sometimes, would be a breather for you to help
Mhm.
with that.
Yep.
Definitely agree with that as well.
Mhm.
Okay, that's so good to hear. I'm so glad. I wanted to go over a safety plan with you as well. I know we talked about suicidal thoughts and attempts and other things like that. But if
Mhm.
you ever feel like that, what would be something that you would want to do to take action right away? What would be something that would help you?
If I was having thoughts of suicide,
Yeah, what would be something that would help you, you think? What would be let me ask you that first and I'll tell you kinda what I think. What would be your thoughts on that? What would you do first if you're having just rational thoughts of doing this and ending it now? What would be something that would
um,
help you in the moment to get through that and not do it?
well, like I said, I've had, fleeting thoughts and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
I would say for me, getting outside in nature really kind of
Okay.
makes me feel better. And I think that's why like the whole ocean thing kind of like really like hit. First of all, we don't have the ocean in Ohio, so
Mhm. Right.
once you're around that, you're kind of it's a different like kind of like power, I guess, over you.
Mhm.
I'm a water person, I guess. I don't know, but I like to go hiking, or I feel like that's a good way for me to kind of like decompress or like wrap my head around
Mhm.
whatever's going on. I just need to take a minute and just kind of be outside in nature somewhere. Typically, usually around water is something that really relaxes me and kind of brings me down and grounds me a little bit.
Okay.
Um, if things get really rough, I have a couple really good, best friends that if I called them in a heartbeat, they would be there for me. So I have a decent support system, but I always have. I always had, a really close network of a handful of friends,
Mhm.
and but I again, it just makes me worry sometimes because even though that's the case, I still acted on impulse before and still made a decision to attempt suicide. So, um,
Right.
I don't know. Sometimes it's just like, yeah, I have a support system. I have wonderful friends and stuff who I could call and drop
Mhm.
a dime and they would be there for me, or I can go outside and take a walk and be out in nature. But I still, at the end of the day, made the decision that I made when I was younger. So,
Right, right. And that's kind of gonna weigh on you throughout just thinking about that topic. I'm
sure.
so sorry we had to bring that up and discuss that and if that was uncomfortable for you. But I want you to know there's resources. I do want to help. So the safety plan I would be doing for you would be like you said, the hikes, the walks, that would be good for you. Maybe listening to music. I know sometimes music changes our mood a little bit. Always calling a friend, always having that support system in place for you to definitely help you through the moment or whatever you're going through. You can even always call me. So that would be something too. We're always here, and there's that 988 number I mentioned before as well for you. So I just want you to know there's always someone you can go to, there's always support. So the worst possible way, attempting suicide, just that would be the absolute last thing we would want to happen. So I'm so glad you got past that. And it seems like you haven't really had those thoughts other than just every now and then that we all have that I wish this would end today because I'm just done with today. I'm just
Mhm.
done. We all
Yeah.
have those. So I'm glad you're in a right state to where you don't feel like that anymore. I'm so glad to hear that.
Thank you. Yeah, me too.
Absolutely. Okay, so I definitely think maybe if that ever happens again, just like we said, the music, the walks, things like that, I definitely feel like that would be helpful for you. Is there any other questions or anything like that? Overall, seems like a pretty good session to me. I think you got out a lot that you wanted to talk about, and I think that you kind of know resources now you can use. So is there
Mhm.
anything else?
No, I think that's good. I think creating a plan and having something in place is
Mhm.
always, a safe bet. And it's always nice to have that resource, available and knowing other resources that if I really get to a point where things aren't looking so great for me that
Mhm.
I can make attempts to make a better choice. So,
Yes. Yes, always make the better choice. That's good that you know that. I'm so glad.
mhm.
Okay, thank you for coming in today, Sam. If there's anything else that you need or if anything ever happens, please call us. Please call me. Please call someone to help. I just think that would be really good for you to do. Thank you for coming in, and I hope next topic's a little more comfortable for us to talk about. But I'm glad we got to discuss that today.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Dr. Boris.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.